I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded by the City Council and GCTV9. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify me at this time. Seeing none, roll call of members, please.
Councillor Golub.
Here.
Councillor Gordon.
Here.
Councillor Mastrototoro.
Here.
Councillor Bullock and Vice President Gilmore notified the office that they would not be able to attend tonight. Councillor Perry. Here. Councillor Wondolowski. Here. Councillor Healy.
Here.
Councillor Garrett.
Here.
Councillor Minhas. Is it not working? There you go.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Ricketts.
Present.
Councillor Toronzo.
Here.
Councillor Bottomley.
Here.
I make sure.
President Bottomley, excuse me. You have a quorum.
Perfect.
Next is the Pledge of Allegiance, which is voluntary. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got my glasses.
Let's see, we have no minutes to approve. We'll be approving those in next month's minutes. Communications from Superintendent of Schools and School Committee notified us they would not be here tonight. They sent that message to the council, and I just wanted to make note that they had appointed a new school committee member, and on behalf of the council, I'd like to welcome Melody Goodwin, who was appointed to the school committee. Let's see, next will be communications from the mayor and city officers. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. News. Well, we sent you a little news this week. We sent out a little announcement about the damage at the police department and the city hall. We thought that would be exciting news for you to receive. And there's a replacement generator at the police department now after the electrical lines were damaged during the excavation work. And the police chief is here to answer further questions about that if you need to know any particulars on that, as it would be better if somebody else explained that instead of me. And then we had the earthquake too, and there's a little bit more bowing of that roof in the room underneath me, and I've been told not to dance or jump in that particular room, and I have not done that. And the building department has ordered that somebody's going to come in and inspect that further. And Kathy Scott is also staying out of that room, which I think we're going to have to actually take all of the things out of before they pull the ceiling out. And I'm excited to share that the Recreation Department is having its annual cornhole tournament on Saturday the 4th at 3 o'clock. And we have 2 teams from the mayor's office, and we're officially challenging the city council. The other thing, our finance director is pursuing other opportunities. Following that change, we've been collaborating, bringing our whole finance team together, our accountant, Angelica, treasurer, Kelly, assessor, Randy, and payroll Tara's been helping. Alan's also stepped in. People have been wonderful. Keith is also learning procurement fast and furiously here. And I just want to assure you, I've been fortunate to be surrounded by a great financial team, and they've stepped up in remarkable ways. And we are anticipating posting that job tomorrow, and I do have a few leads that I'm not really going to go into. But I just wanted to let you know those things, and I want to express my gratitude to Diana for her service to the city. That's all. That's my comments.
Any questions for the mayor? Councilor Master Tataro.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of questions regarding police station. It's more financial stuff, so I don't know if you're probably better to ask than the chief, but so they did a dig safe before that contractor showed up. Chief, did they do
I'm actually going to bring the chief up here
Okay.
just to help me and be supportive as we get into the technical parts of the what happened with that. Okay. So I wasn't there,
Okay.
and he was, and I learned about flags, etc. this week, which I knew nothing about.
So they did a dig safe before?
They did. Unfortunately, DigSafe only lasts, I believe, 30 days. So their plan was to start this project last fall.
So it faded away.
Long gone.
Okay. So it's the temporary generator was 10 grand, right? To set it up. Another $3,500 a week to keep it.
That's right.
And it cost extra man hours for DPW, police, fire, central maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. It says here, insurance is covering it. Whose insurance? The contractors or the cities?
So the way that's going to work is your numbers are right. It was $10,000-ish to deliver the generator, install it, and that took the first week rent into account. Each subsequent week, it's $2,000 for the generator and $1,500 for the cables.
Okay.
So it is about $3,500.
So my question is who's absorbing that cost? I mean, it's the contractor's mistake.
So ultimately, like if you're in the middle of a car accident, the insurance companies are going to fight this out. For all intents and purposes, anybody we talk to on the city side believes it's the contractor's fault. So the contractor has since notified their insurance company. They're being given instructions by their insurance company. For example, they actually did remove all the cables from the conduit, and they have them at their shop at the request of their adjuster or rep. So Maya, who's our insurance company, I met with our Maya adjuster 2 days ago. He documented, took photos, et cetera, of the damage. Maya, they're very good. So Maya said, we're going to pay for everything. Don't worry about a cent. After which we will go after his insurance company. So Maya's working with us very well.
And
They
that
know all the
includes
expenses.
we'll back charge them for
Everything.
man hours, city man hours as well.
Yeah, in fact, our rep, the adjuster who came out without me having to say anything, actually mentioned those items. The overtime for those who had to help switch it over. Every expense that I could have thought of with respect to that generator, he already had it on his list. And he says, we'll take care of it, don't worry.
And this contract was hired by the architect, correct? Architect.
I think it's sort of a combination of things. You know, we put out a bid. They were, I'm assuming this was before I had any involvement in it, but I assume they were the lowest bidder. And so they were awarded the contract. And again, they were supposed to get started last fall. And one excuse after the other, and then finally they started.
Because I heard that they may have been hired by the architect.
I think it's a combination of events. So the architect sort of creates the IFB for the scope of the project. Really, they're ultimately hired by the city.
Thank you.
Got it.
Is that just kind of following up on Councilor Mastrataro's? Is that contractor still being used to complete that specific project?
Yes. I think at this point, to be honest with you, to switch now, I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. Switch now would delay it who knows how long. And at $3,500 a week for a generator, we just kinda wanna get those cables back in there, get our original generator hooked up and start rolling again.
Do we have any other questions for the mayor? Yes, Councilor Gordon.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Wondering about the finance director position being posted and if we're also separately posting the procurement officer position or if that's been posted for a while. I apologize for not knowing.
Today, we just worked on one. That's as far as I got till the end of today. So we're asking people to pull together on procurement, and we're getting that done.
So is there a plan to post that position eventually? I understand that
I
you
haven't-
don't know.
I haven't made
specifics
that
yet.
plan yet.
Okay.
That will probably be tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you.
Okay. And I did want to tell you how well everyone worked together on that generator. I don't know if you heard that, but the fire department, DPW, IT, Montague Police Department, and all the police. That was a fabulous working together. That was the happy part of that. Okay.
Councilor Wondolowski.
Thank you, Mayor. We keep hearing about the damage to City Hall and all of its challenges. Do you guys have a sense of kind of what all of the overall problems are? And my follow-up question, will insurance cover anything earthquake related, or is that act of God and we're done?
So I don't know the answer to that. And I don't know if we have earthquake insurance or not. So I don't know. But I am concerned about that building. I got in January, and I think I was there for 8 or 10 days, and I was calling Councilor Healy, and, besides all the wonderful people that we had working for the city, we had no heat, and they said it might be out for like 40 days. There are other issues, and then there was that. So, it's an old building, and I was quite concerned when we didn't have heat, and now there's, other things. So I don't know. But I know that we have all the building projects that we need for right now. So we're just trying to figure it out one thing at a time. So I don't have the answer to your question, but it's one that I have asked myself as I was learning what a motherboard was. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. And Councilor Healy and I will take you up on Cornhole Challenge, and
Okay. It's
hopefully our
it's
fellow
$50
councilors.
for duo, and it goes to a good cause. Okay.
Councilor Ricketts.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up with Councilor Gordon started. So do you think the procurement will be posted by the end of this week or the end of next week?
So the reason that I said I wasn't sure was we had the financial, I haven't made the decision about that because I don't know. We had the financial officer before was doing a lot of the procurement, and we had someone that was filling in and doing part of it, but she had absorbed part of that. That's why I hadn't made that decision, and that was at the end of the day today. So I would say, honestly, I'm not keeping anything from you. I don't know. We do need some procurement hours. I hadn't decided whether that was going to be, part-time, full-time, somebody else absorbing that who already knows that. So it was that I just didn't know, so I shouldn't say
I felt
more
that
about it.
position was already not, before this all happened with the finance director, I thought we were already lacking the procurement office.
That's true, and
So
the finance.
we didn't have a thought about it before this.
That is correct, because
Okay,
the
thank you.
finance.
Councilor Toronto.
I don't want to put anybody on the spot for having to take over part of those responsibilities, but I do happen to know, besides the finance director, we have another member of our team that is MCPPO certified because we were in the same class together. So I don't want to throw her name out there. I'm sure you know who it is, but just saying, questions could be helpful while in transition.
And that was why I was holding off answering those questions because we had other people, and I pulled together everybody who was either certified in procurement or was good at procurement or doing it, So I couldn't say that tonight. I wasn't keeping anything from you. I just hadn't made up my mind yet. I don't know that anybody could have, but
Is that it for questions? Thank you. I don't believe we have any other communications from other city employees, so we'll move to public comment. If you haven't already, please feel free to sign up. We'll do our usual 3 minutes, starting with Linda Clark.
Good evening. My name is Linda Clark. I'm here in regards to the school budget and some concerns and that. And I do, some of my comments and some are actually questions.
Oh, sorry, if you could turn the mic on, there's a button right there and it should turn green. Oh, there we
How's
go.
that? Okay. As a parent and a grandparent, I mean, we all want our children to have good education. However, every year, the school department is asking for more money. And every time that this comes up about needing more money for the budget, they're also adding more positions. I just don't understand why every time we need more money, we need more positions, more positions. 1 year it's 1, then it's 2. 1 year there was actually 4. And you say, if you're hiring qualified staff, why do you have the need for all these assistants? State records show that you have 320 less students since 2019. At the present, your enrollment is 1,414, and in 2019, the enrollment was 1,732. There's 320 less students. Some years, there's talks of grant money. What happens when that grant money runs out? Are those positions, is this what you're trying to ask for more money for? Do you keep these positions? What happens when the grant money runs out? And has a financial study ever been done on the busing of the special needs students since it was introduced? When this came to light, it was stated you had 4 vehicles. Now you have what, 12, 15 vehicles? Why so many vehicles? And where did the funds come from for all these vehicles? What is the cost of this program? Has anybody done a study to see about gas, vehicle maintenance, inspections, payment of the drivers? And I know for a fact that some of the trips that go down to Holyoke with some of these students, to Center School or Oakdale, that they can be consolidated to 1 vehicle and 1 driver. You don't need one going to this school and one going to that. They're only like 10 minutes apart. And I have to say, through the last couple of years, I've encountered on the end of Silver and Conway Street, one of your vans going through, and they're texting. They're driving and they're texting. I've encountered them on 91. I'm doing 70 miles an hour and they're going by me. They're transporting your children, our children. I just wondered if anybody's done a study to see how and I raise these issues as a taxpayer. I'm on a limited income, and with the taxes rising all the time, the taxes are rising for a new library, a new fire station, and down the road's going to be a new police station. There needs to be some fiscal restraints. I mean, I've retired after 31 years as a food service director at Franklin County Tech. I'm on a limited income, but every time you turn around, every 3 months, it's more and more and more. And I bring these questions out here, hope that somebody pays a little attention to that and perhaps look into it, see where all this money is going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is Pamela Goodwin.
My name is Pamela Goodwin. I live at 54 High Street here in Greenfield. I always thank you for all your hard work because I wouldn't want to do what you do, and I'm pretty busy at my age doing things too. So thank you so much. I want to bring up the idea that I spoke about last month, and that is in hopes of either getting an ordinance or making a good decision that's relevant so that social issues, national issues, international issues would be in a different venue instead of here at the city council. I know kind of what went on by talking to a number of councilors. I lived with it in my building. We all wanted the killing and the murdering to stop, but I was really alarmed at how divisive the council was last month, and I'm hoping that everybody has kind of calmed down some. I saw some big changes, and since we have so many new city councilors, I saw a good teamwork with some experienced people helping the new ones, and then stuff happened that was not real pretty. So I'm counting on getting an ordinance somehow through here so that things belong in a different setting. I also want to say, in terms of the school budget, I'm one of the ones that taught for over 30-some years, and I truly don't think we need too many chiefs at the top. So I was alarmed when it's already a done deal and they hired an assistant superintendent. I want the money to go for the children, for the teachers, and we know it's always going to be a big issue on what the budget, how much of the pie the schools are going to get. I also want to say that I had a pleasant talk with the owner of Cleary's today because I saw on the front page. And as a former owner of 2 businesses, I wanted to congratulate her that she's sticking to her guns. She used a good attorney, and she gets to stay where she needs to be, maybe up until her retirement, because that business has been in here, I think she said 17 years. And she's alarmed because it was a tough decision, and people probably think she's holding things up downtown with the Wilsons and the food co-op and stuff. I assured her, from my viewpoint, that she did what was right for her personal business. And I think she was pretty grateful to have a very long talk. So I'm all for affordable housing. I'm all for building. We've got the CBD money, all these other grants that are going in, and we're looking forward to having shops that are open down there. I love also, I will say, I've seen the presence of the police force down there all the time, walking around, parking my car next to their car, so I'm really grateful that that's going on too. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And there's no more public comment online, so we will move on to the public hearing. Councillor Toronzo, could you read the public hearing on page 9?
Okie dokie. In accordance with Home Rule Charter, the Greenfield City Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 17, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at John's on Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and Zoom to receive public input on the following. FY25 capital budget, 19 orders. Transfer $70,000 from FY24 free cash to purchase a 2024 Silverado 2500 HD regular cab. Transfer $40,000 from FY24 free cash for Veterans Memorial Field House boiler demo and asbestos removal. Appropriate $680,000 from authorized borrowing for engineering and design work for Main Street redesign project. Transfer $200,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for the Highway Fund. Appropriate $310,000 from authorized borrowing for repairs to the Mill Street Bridge on River Street. Transfer $197,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for repair design services for the electric light and power dam. Repurpose $55,956.63 from 4 accounts for repair design services for the electric light and power dam. Transfer $65,000 from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization for resurfacing the Legion Avenue parking lot. Transfer $135,000 from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization to purchase a 2024 F550 for replacement of truck number 28. Transfer $150,000 from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department of Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street. Transfer $240,000 from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization for repair of erosion in multiple areas of the cap landfill as directed by Department of Environmental Protection. Transfer $50,000 from free cash for sandblasting at Poet Seat Tower. Transfer $75,000 from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization for rehabilitation and repairs of North Tower elevator at Federal Street School. Appropriate $500,000 from authorized borrowing for sewer inflow and infiltration repairs and replacement as identified in the Wright Pierce Sewer System Evaluation Survey. Transfer $195,000 from FY24 sewer retained earnings to replace backhoe number 185. Transfer $150,000 from sewer retained earnings for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department of Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street. Transfer $300,000 from FY24 water retained earnings to replace water main on Main Street. Repurpose $124,552.78 from 4 accounts for water main replacement. Transfer $150,000 from water retained earnings for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street. The City Council may consider the same on Wednesday, April 17, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at John Zahn Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and Zoom. And that's it.
Great job.
And I'll get to read it again in a
So
minute.
I will open this public hearing at 6:57 PM. And if anyone present would like to speak on those, we have a sign up for this too.
Nobody signed up.
And see, no one has signed up, so we will have you, Councilor Toronzo, move to the second reading.
All right.
We enjoyed it so much the first time.
FY25 capital budget 19 orders. Transfer $70,000 from FY24 free cash to purchase a 2024 Silverado 2500 HD regular cab. Transfer $40,000 from FY24 free cash for Veterans Memorial Field House boiler demo and asbestos removal. Appropriate $680,000 from authorized borrowing for engineering and design work for Main Street redesign project. Transfer $200,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for the Highway Fund. Appropriate $310,000 from authorized borrowing for repairs to the Mill Street Bridge on River Street. Transfer $197,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for repair design services for the electric light and power dam. Repurpose $55,956.63 from 4 accounts for repair design services for the electric light and power dam. Transfer $65,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for resurfacing the Legion Avenue parking lot. Transfer $135,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization to purchase a 2024 F550 for replacement of truck 28. Transfer $150,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department of Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street. Transfer $240,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for repairs of erosion in multiple areas of the cap landfill as directed by the Department of Environmental Protection. Transfer $50,000 from free cash for sandblasting at Poet Seat Tower. Transfer $75,000 from Fund 8402 capital stabilization for rehabilitation and repairs of North Tower elevator at Federal Street School. Appropriate $500,000 from authorized borrowing for sewer inflow and infiltration repairs and replacement as identified in the Wright Pierce Sewer System Evaluation Survey. Transfer $195,000 from FY24 sewer retained earnings to replace backhoe number 185. Transfer $150,000 from sewer retained earnings for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department of Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street. Transfer $300,000 from FY24 water retained earnings to replace water main on Main Street. Repurpose $124,552.78 from 4 accounts for water main replacement. Transfer $150,000 from water retained earnings for rehabilitation of paved lot at Department of Public Works yard located at 209 Wells Street.
Yes. Thank you. I will close this public hearing at 6:59 PM. Moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. The first one, now we head over to Councilor Golub on page 11. Who is it, Bullock? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. If you want to read that.
Okay. Order number fiscal year 24098. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council take from the table order number fiscal year 24069.4A, amend the zoning ordinance, Chapter 200, zoning, Section 34, sign regulations, subsection F, general sign regulations, paragraph 5, by adding the following language in bold. 5. Dynamic display signs, also known as electric message centers, shall be prohibited, with the exception of municipal uses. Dynamic display signs, also known as electric message centers, means any sign designed for outdoor use that is capable of displaying an electronic signal, including but not limited to cathode ray tubes, CRT, light emitting diode, LED displays, plasma displays, liquid crystal displays, LCD, or other technologies used in commercially available televisions or computer monitors. Signs with this technology, which are placed by a public agency for the purpose of directing or regulating pedestrian or vehicle movement, are exempt from this chapter. And further amends the table of contents and index of the code, and further that non-substantive changes to the numbering of the ordinance be permitted in order that it be in compliance with the numbering format of the Code of the City of Greenfield, which was tabled at the March 28th, 2024 City Council meeting. Majority vote required.
Do we have a second?
Second, Ricketts.
All those in favor of taking this off the table? I think we have to take it off the table to discuss it. So, all those in favor of taking this off the table?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any,
Say no, but let's just, I'll explain afterwards.
okay. Any abstentions? I'll open up for discussion. This would be, Councilor Bullock is not here tonight. If we had someone from EDC to talk about this, would be great. Councilor Garrett.
So I'm on the EDC committee as well, and the reason I voted no on taking it off the table is because we didn't have a meeting this month, and I would love to discuss this in committee before we have a full discussion decision at the council. So I would encourage us to put this back on the table and have a discussion at EDC.
With unanimous consent, I would move this to the next meeting. Yep, hearing no objections, we'll move this to the next meeting.
Right.
If someone could read the order on page 14.
I can read it. Order number fiscal year 24-113. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council hereby approves the attached disclosure under MGLC 268A 20F by a municipal employee identified in the attached Exhibit A, and further authorize the City Council President to sign on behalf of the City Council.
And a second?
Second.
And I'll open this up for discussion. This, we received an email. I believe it's just a sort of standard housekeeping document that needs to be signed so this person can officially work in that capacity. I don't know that there's any other.
I don't.
Yeah, I believe it's just an administrative process that we have to take care of. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Against? Abstentions? Motion passes. And now I believe we go to Councilor Coleman. Thank you for reading the previous two.
Yep. So order number fiscal year 24096. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council, pursuant to Charter Section 210, affirms the following appointments and reappointments by the mayor. Parking and Traffic Commission, Jeff Saucer and John Analt, both terms to expire December 31st, 2029. GCTV Board of Directors, Matthew Conway, mayoral appointee, term to expire December 31st, 2026. Agricultural Commission, Greg Kutwer, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Zoning Board of Appeals, alternate, Eric Green, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Council on Aging, Judith Young, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Trustees of Soldiers Memorial, Sandy McGill, term to expire December 21st, 2027. Planning Board, Victor Mascella, term to expire December 31st, 2027. And the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee, Carol Collins, term to expire December 31st, 2027, majority vote required.
Second.
Do we have a report from committee?
It was a unanimous positive vote and a recommendation. And along with just kudos to everyone these last few months, the mayor and the people who've been signing up to be joining all these boards and commissions, and how many names there are. It's great. Can I add one other thing?
Oh, yes.
And I just want to also celebrate seeing Carol Collins's name there and the win for the city of seeing her back.
Open this up for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? They all pass.
Okay, can someone, the next page.
And Counselor Golub, this is where you get the long ones.
Yep, go for it. Okay, I'm just trying to find yep, page 30, thank you. Okay. Order number fiscal year 24049, the City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council amend the Code of the City of Greenfield, Chapter 110, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Section 1, Appointment, Membership, as indicated below with strike-through text to be removed and bold text to be added. Chapter 110, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, 110.1, Appointment Membership. And I'm going to read the parts that are not striked out and the parts that are, I'm going to read the language that is being proposed. A committee to be known as the Capital Improvement Planning Committee will be established for one-year terms by February 1st of each year, composed of one member of the Planning and Construction Committee, the Ways and Means Chair or their designee, the School Committee Chair or their designee, an appointee of the City Council and an appointee of the Mayor. The town accountant and or the Director of Municipal Finance and Administration shall be an ex officio member, staff member without the right to vote. The committee shall choose its own officers, and further amends the index of the code, and further that non-substantive changes to the numbering of the ordinance be permitted in order that it be in compliance with the numbering format of the Code of the City of Greenfield, majority vote required.
Second.
Report?
Yep, this received a positive, unanimous recommendation. And I can give some rationale. That'd be helpful. Yep, so I'll preface that by saying that this is one of 4 changes that we're proposing for the budgeting process for Greenfield. And this one, the intent of this is to make the Capital Improvement Planning Committee one more representative, and also to have it be formed by February 1st instead of in the previous year, so that it's both more representative because it is now including the school committee chair or their designee and the Ways and Means chair or their designee after those officers have been elected for the current calendar year, as opposed to having them be the previously appointed or selected people from the previous year. And it also adds 2 more people, an appointee of the mayor and an appointee of the city council, so that it can be more representative. And this body gives recommendations about our capital plan and our capital expenditures.
Thank you. Open this up for discussion. Councillor Toronto?
I guess with, with the appointees, with the February 1st, with the kind of like February 1st deadline. Oh, sorry, thank you. With the February 1st deadline, and I agree with the deadline, and I agree with the doing it after new members come in. I don't know that we have a process for appointing, other than, at this point, the president appointing. Because a lot of times by the January meeting, we've had our organizational meeting, but a lot of times we don't have even subcommittees set, depending on how the calendar shakes out. So this would mean that at our January meeting, we would have to already have an appointment in line. And so I'm just thinking about this logistically on how the solicitation for somebody who is interested usually goes out when there's like a vacancy in a board or an open seat, and you'll get letters of interest. So as a new counselor or a new council comes in, I guess I'm concerned about the logistics of the appointing part of it. And also, like I said, I don't think we have a way in our rules of making appointments. We can confirm mayoral appointments, but I think the only way that I remember, and maybe I'm wrong, is that the president appoints. So I guess if that was the intention, maybe like a slight change of the wording might help to clarify that. Or maybe that's implied by the being appointee of the council.
Did that come up in A&O?
This did not come up in A&O. I would welcome a motion to amend, to have it be appointed by the president or by another. Yeah, I would welcome a motion to clarify that. It's been such a long time, to be honest, that I've looked at this. I remember when we talked about it that, and I'm not sure if this is something that one of you might be able to help with, but there was some reason why it wouldn't, the mayor's, I'm not positive that the mayor's appointee had to go through the entire process for this one, and I don't remember why I'm thinking that, or if that's even correct. So that would be helpful information.
Yeah, I'm looking at the charter, and it looks like we have this is 2-10, that we would review mayoral appointments normally. So, and I'm also a little concerned about, I didn't think about this before, the timeline. Even if the president appoints, I'm thinking mainly if there's a change, if there's an election, and we need someone appointed to start in February, because it says where's that language? The mayor, the committee will be established, where was that? Or the mayor shall? By February 1st. So I'm wondering, it sounds like the mayor is leading the establishment of this committee?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Councillor Huss.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm mistaken, but I think when we were going through the iterations of what language we want to keep and what we don't want, one of the things I think that was discussed, which maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought we decided to keep the first part, the mayor shall establish and appoint, just for clarification. So I think that might have been part of the process. Yep. So I think that might kind of clarify some of the.
So I believe that needs to be a proposed amendment. I see it highlighted now. The mayor shall establish at the bottom of page 30.
Mhm. That's true. We did vote unanimously to amend that first piece. I'm not sure if that answers your questions, but that's important.
It doesn't, and I didn't think about this actually, even when we had previous discussions about some of this stuff, because it kind of crosses over into Ways and Means. It didn't even dawn on me that I was like, oh man, there's an appointment process. And what is that? and then you just brought up President Bottomley. That's right, even if the mayor appoints somebody in January, we still have to take on that appointment, which kind of sucks.
Because in theory, it could happen before that time, but I just wonder about, we were doing some of this to avoid in an election year.
Right.
There could be, Councilor Healy?
Yeah, I was just suggesting we move this to the next meeting as well. That way there you have time to figure these details out.
Councilor Gordon?
I appreciate that suggestion, but I am concerned, given what we have to accomplish in the May meeting, budget-wise, that we're not actually going to have time at the next meeting to talk about this. So I don't know. I kind of want to propose that it go back to committee, but I don't know enough about the process to know if that's the right next move.
Councilor Wondolowski?
Would changing it from February 1st to March 1st give enough time? I know we're trying to have it happen earlier, but if we've got to go through the appointments, and that's going to be a challenge.
It would not give it enough time. And I can share, the next is to have the capital plan be submitted by March 1st. And for the capital plans to happen and for it to come before council, if we want to be voting on capital and have the space to be able to do that at this time of the year, then that would be too late.
Councilor Perry? Oh, okay, I thought someone. Yeah, I'll recognize the mayor if you'd like to speak.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, there are a couple of things on this. If you did this now, one of the reasons that I was hoping to get this through, is because the charter changes take a long time to get through the state. We're still waiting on our charter changes for last year. So this has actually been, I think, started in December, and I can see the sticking point on this, so I'm just going to say something about that. If you did this now and enacted it and me as the mayor made an appointment for that person would be there now for the next time we had a February 1st, okay? It also would give the opportunity for a new mayor to make that change if that new mayor wanted to, because if that was of prime importance to the new person, then the person could be thinking about it in January. It would probably be until mid-February before that actually happened. And then I believe that the process, and will ask Will or somebody else that knows more than I do, as far as city council appointments, usually that is through the council president. That's been my past experience, but I'm not going to say that. So I think I just am thinking about the timing on it too. So that's all totally up to you.
Toronto?
Just as a point of clarification, this isn't a charter change, correct? This is just our city code. So it wouldn't affect, we don't have anything charter-wise for this.
This one is the code, not charter. Mm-hmm.
Councilor Healy?
Yeah, I think it'd be easy just to add, when councilors sign up for which committees they want to serve on, to add a box next to Ways and Means that says, would you be willing to serve on the Appointments and Ordinance Committee? And from there, if you check the box when you make your appointments to that committee, you could pick one of those volunteers as a council person to serve on that committee in the first January meeting when you're appointing people.
Right, point out.
Uh,
I just want to
Councilor
point out that that's already one that's on there, is chair of Ways and Means or a designee from the committee. But the two that I guess are in question at this point are the additional members that are being proposed, which are appointees by the council and appointee by the mayor, which currently there is not either. So I guess that's where the gray area comes up.
Another thought, since this is, I don't know, this is just a thought, since this is just an ordinance, and we have this committee already formed, if we sent just this portion of it back to committee, would that mess things up and vote on everything else? I'm not totally sure. You guys have reviewed it. Yeah, Councilor
It
Gold?
would not mess things up. We don't need to, this is code, we can change it when we want to, and we don't have to bring it back at the budget meeting next month. We could bring it back in June.
Because I'm thinking there's got to be a solution to this.
Yeah, I was looking in my notes to see I don't want to take more of the time of the council right now. I think that it's a relatively simple thing to figure out outside of here, and that we could bring it back in June-ish. Be fine. So
So I was just saying to President Bottomley, this is an amendment to an ordinance that's associated with an upcoming charter amendment. The charter amendment has to pass through the state legislature before it becomes effective. So there is time for the ordinance to be sent back to committee to have the questions answered, because even if it passed tonight, it wouldn't go into effect because the charter amendment hasn't been approved by the state.
Good. Perfect.
do we need a motion to send it back to committee?
Yeah.
Send it back.
So if Councilors Golub and Ricketts withdraw their motion and their second with unanimous consent, we can have it go back to committee.
Okay.
I'll withdraw.
Councilor Ricketts will withdraw.
That will go back to committee. The next one is also Councilor Golub.
Okay.
Now it's just.
Order number fiscal year 24048.3, the City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Charter, Article 5, Finance and Fiscal Procedures, Section 10, Capital Improvement Program, Paragraph A, be amended as indicated below, with strike-through text to be removed and bold text to be added. Section 5.8, Capital Improvement Program, A, the mayor shall submit a capital improvement program to the City Council no later than March 1st annually. The capital improvement program shall be based on material prepared by the Capital Improvement Program Committee established by ordinance. It shall include 1, a clear and concise general summary of its contents. 2, a list of all capital improvements proposed to be undertaken during the ensuing 5 years, with supporting information as to the need for each capital improvement, cost estimates, methods of financing, and recommended time schedules for each improvement. And 3, the estimated annual cost of operating and maintaining each facility and piece of major equipment involved. 1, editor's note, see Chapter 110 Capital Improvement Planning Committee. B, this information is to be annually revised by the mayor with regard to the capital improvements still pending or in the process of being acquired, improved, or constructed. and that the city council further instructs the city clerk to submit the approved vote to the legislature of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and requests said legislature to amend the city charter. 2/3 vote required.
Second?
Report from committee?
Unanimous positive recommendation.
Open this up for discussion. Oh, Councilor Tronzo?
I have just a small tidbit. I guess if we're talking about potentially moving, as Councilor Wondolowski was saying, if we were, because obviously this is the part that is in the charter already. I don't see. I guess I'm unclear why the language is changing. If it's at least 120 days before, that already is March 1st, isn't it? So I guess I'm just wondering why we're at that point, if we're not substantively changing the charter to, like, if this were to change like April 1st, that would make sense because it would no longer be the 120 days before the start of the fiscal. But I don't know, to me, I just didn't know if there was a reason why we specifically were updating the language in that way, I guess. I don't know. Sorry.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No.
That was something you wanted.
No. I know that we had talked about timelines and things, but that was just, maybe it was an oversight when I was going through the schedule that was given to me, but I guess I don't know why if we're not moving it from March 1st, I guess why, I don't know. I know there were a lot of moving targets when these things came up like months ago, right? I don't know.
Any other discussion on this? Yeah, Councilor Wondolowski.
Just to keep making it confusing, is April 22nd in here too late? That just was standing out
Too
to
late.
me.
The next order. So the rationale for this one, if you scroll down, that might be what you're referring to.
Yep.
There's supporting documents, but the motion to change it to April 21st is the next one.
Okay.
And I will just, if you scan through, it looks like we're following dates. So if we change the 60 days before 120, we're using April 22nd, June 30th. This is an upcoming motion, but it looks like that's just, in general, this is clarifying dates as opposed to 60 days before, 120 days before. I could be wrong, but.
That's true.
A little bit. A little bit.
Yes. it's
Because
going
the 60 days right now for the operating part that we were talking about was, right now it would be 60 days before June 30th, so it would have to be an April 30th. We were trying to add a little bit more time for the council to weigh in on it and possibly a second meeting if necessary, rather than having to vote all of the operating as quickly as we're going to be doing this year in one meeting. And then if it doesn't hash out in May, we'd have to hold a special meeting. And also to give the mayor a couple more weeks with the operating budget instead of the hard and fast. I think it's April 1st right now, right? So the hard and fast date of that, it was like a 3-week move. And then we also had talked about making sure that it was going to be, no matter where the April 1st started in the month, it would always be before the 5-day rule and all that sort of, that was where that specific date for operating came up, which I think was the more substantive change in all of those.
And
Councilor Golub.
And in terms of a rationale for changing from basically what is the same 120 days to March 1st, a rationale is consistency. We are changing to specifying dates, which is, yeah.
Any more comments on this? I guess we're ready for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstains? The motion passes. Counselor Golub.
Order number fiscal year 24048.1. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Charter, Article 5, Finance and Fiscal Procedures, Section 3, Submission of Budget and Budget Message, be amended as indicated below with strike-through text to be removed and bold text to be added. Section 5.3, Submission of Budget and Budget Message. Not later than April 22nd annually, the mayor shall submit to the City Council a proposed operating budget for the ensuing fiscal year with an accompanying budget message and supporting documents. The mayor shall simultaneously provide for the publication in a local newspaper of a notice and a general summary of the proposed budget. The summary shall specifically indicate any major variations from the current operating budget and the reason for such changes. The notice shall further indicate the times and places at which complete copies of the proposed operating budget for the city are available for examination by the public. And that the City Council further instructs the city clerk to submit the approved vote to the legislature of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and requests said legislature to amend the city charter. 2/3 vote required.
Second?
Report?
And it was positive unanimous. And yes, just to echo what Councilor Toronzo shared, that this is basically changing the submission date for the operating budget from April 1st until April 22nd, which both gives the mayor more time to submit the budget and gives the council as much time as possible up to the edge of the city council, April city council meeting.
Open that up for discussion. Any comments on this? Oh, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion passes. Counselor Golub.
Order number fiscal year 24048.2. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Charter, Article 5, Finance and Fiscal Procedures, Section 6, Action on the Budget, Paragraph C, be amended as indicated below with strike-through text to be removed and bold text to be added. Section 5.6, Action on the Budget. C, Action by City Council. The City Council shall adopt the budget with or without amendments by June 30th. In amending the budget, the City Council may increase or decrease amounts and expenditures as allowed under Section 32 of Chapter 44 of the General Laws. If the City Council fails to take any action with respect to any item in the proposed budget within 60 days after it receives the proposed budget, such amount shall, without any action of the City Council, become a part of the appropriations for the ensuing fiscal year and shall be available for the purposes specified. And that the City Council further instructs the city clerk to submit the approved vote to the legislature of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and request said legislature to amend the city charter. 2/3 vote required.
Second?
Report from committee.
Positive unanimous recommendation. And I'll say that I can't exactly specify why because of the dates, but currently our charter has us having to vote on the budget by the end of May, which is not the end of our fiscal year. And so this gives us a whole additional month, both the executive and us, gives us all another month that is allowed because it's part of the fiscal year. So that's what this ends up allowing us.
Open this up for discussion. Counselor Toronzo.
Yeah, this was kind of in tandem with the last one, was by moving where it currently is April 1st, and then this is telling us we got to do it within 60 days, which is why we had May 31st, and it seemed kind of silly to waste a whole month of availability for change. So that was the with the one previously and this one kind of working in tandem to make it better for both executive and legislative branch.
Councilor Wondolowski?
Just one question. I see that if the council fails to take any action within 60 days, and wondering why that's 60 days and not June 30th, because
That's a
that
very good point.
might put us at June 22nd, and then
Thank you. Yep. Would you like to propose that as an amendment?
I'd like to propose that as an amendment to change it to June 30th.
I'll second that. Thank you.
So discussion on the amendment?
The proposed budget by June 30th?
Yes.
Proposed budget by June 30th.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The amendment passes. So now we're back to voting on, or discussion on the amended motion. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Good catch.
Very good catch.
Counselor Golub.
Okay.
Counselor Golub?
Okay. Order number fiscal year 24097. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Charter, Article 2, Legislative Branch, Section 10, Council review of certain appointments be amended by the addition of the new paragraph C as follows. Section 210, Council review of certain appointments. C, if the council meets within 30 days and fails to reject as provided by this section, those unrejected appointments shall be considered affirmed by the council, the 35-day presumptive approval process considered satisfied, and those appointees will thereby be allowed to be immediately administered the oath of office without having to wait for the 35-day period to expire. And that the City Council further instructs the City Clerk to submit the approved vote to the Legislature of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and request said Legislature to amend the City Charter. Majority vote required.
Second?
Report from committee?
Unanimous positive recommendation.
And I'll open this up for discussion. Yes, Counselor Perry.
Just as a former human rights commissioner who has had to wait the 35 days, and thanks for doing that. To me, it was just kind of like, what are we waiting for, you know, so appreciate it.
Counselor Wondolowski?
I just wanted to know why we were doing this, so that your point helps.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Any more discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstentions? The motion passes. Now we go into the realm of Ways and Means. Counselor Toronzo. And thank you, A&O, for all that work. It's a lot of work. Thank you.
So I have a question before we start. I know I just ran out of the room, but I didn't know if it would be prudent to do the recess now and then do all of the orders, or if people wanted to break it up in the middle.
I think I'm seeing maybe a break right now. That sounds like a good place to
First,
break.
I just wanted to throw that
So a
out there.
5-minute recess.
Well, someone's gonna cry later. So we're back at 7:49.
All right, we are back at 7:49, and it is Counselor Toronzo on page 39.
Gee, thanks. Order number FY 24-099, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to rescind order FY 24-052, a transfer of $214,000 from water bond premiums to water principal paydown, moves that it be ordered to rescind previous order FY 24-052, a transfer of the amount of $214,000 from water enterprise bond premiums, Fund 1627, to water principal paydowns account number 60007100599991. Majority vote required.
And report from committee?
Positive, unanimous. This is kind of cleaning up an error. It was just this one, and I'll foreshadowing the next one are pretty much just being switched, and we already, we voted on them and then unvoted. Yep.
Open this up for any more discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-100. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to rescind order FY 24-053, a transfer of $145,155 from sewer bond premiums to sewer principal paydown, moves that it be ordered to rescind previous order FY 24-053, a transfer in the amount of $145,155 from sewer enterprise bond premiums, Fund 1627, to sewer principal paydowns, account number 60007100599991. Majority vote required.
Second.
And similar report.
Second verse, same as the first. Yep.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
All right. Order number FY 24-075. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to purchase 2024 Silverado 2500 HD regular cab, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $70,000 for the purchase of a 2024 Silverado 2500 HD regular cab or equal equivalent, and to meet said appropriation, $70,000 be transferred from FY 24 free cash. Majority vote required.
Second.
Committee?
Unanimous positive from both Capital Committee and Ways and Means.
Any discussion on this? Councilor Wondolowski?
Councilor Toronto, I thought at our meeting you did a really good job of explaining what our capital was coming from, free cash, and kind of all these different pockets, because we've got a lot to vote on, and so if you guys have a better sense of the entire big picture, I think it helps.
Can I sneak that into the discussion on this order?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So at Capital Committee, we kind of charted this out, and even though there was one little error that caused some changes, whatever, that's long and the short. We had asked about what was available to us, and then what was for borrowing purposes, what would be a healthy, feasible number. So there was $3 million in capital stabilization available. Out of the orders you're about to see tonight, $1.022 million is, or $1,022,000 is requested. Of the $435,000 in free cash we had, $160,000 is being requested, and $1.5 million was recommended to be a cap for our borrowing, contingent upon or determined by the financial health of the city right now. And out of that, $1,490,000 is being requested. And I kind of said this last night at our committee meeting, though there are a lot of, or not a lot, but some folks out there who think we should never borrow, especially if we have money available. I think it's prudent to understand, and I think a lot of councilors do, is having money borrowed is good for credit as well, not overextending, but having it right in a good sweet spot, and also not expending all of your capital or all of your free right away in case you need it for other purposes throughout the year. It's a lot easier to obtain than having to go and borrowing. So that's my spiel.
Excellent. So do we have any more discussion on the Silverado? Yes, Councilor Garrett.
So this is really just kind of extending what Councilor Toronzo was just outlining as far as where money is coming from. In the packet for today's meeting on page 49, there's a great chart that was really helpful at Ways and Means yesterday and kind of the lead up to this, showing basically how free cash has been moved in between accounts since October of last year. And on page 41, there's also a chart showing a summary of all the capital orders and the various accounts in which money is being utilized. So page 41 is kind of a cheat sheet for the rest of these orders. If, again, the legions of the public watching this meeting, I think it would be helpful.
Thank you for sharing that. And also, I think it's worth pointing out, these are not all of the capital orders that the Capital Improvement Committee reviewed.
Correct. Correct. We are hopeful that some of the others will be forthcoming later in the year, and I think they will. Or at least
Councilor
some.
Minhas?
Or at least some.
Oh, you're right.
That's not my decision.
Councilor Minhas?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. What department is this for?
DPW.
Okay, cool. Yes.
Excellent. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-076, the City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor, an order for Veterans Memorial Fieldhouse boiler demo and asbestos removal. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $40,000 for Veterans Memorial Fieldhouse boiler demo and asbestos removal, and to meet said appropriation, $40,000 be transferred from FY 24 free cash. Majority vote required.
Report?
Unanimous positive recommendation from both.
Open this up for discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion passes.
Order number FY 24-077, the City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor, an order for engineering design work for Main Street redesign project. Moves that it be ordered that the sum of $680,000 be appropriated for engineering and design work for the Main Street redesign project, and to meet said appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is hereby authorized to borrow said sum of $680,000 pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, or any other enabling statute, and the mayor is hereby authorized to apply for, contract for, accept, and expend any federal and/or state grants available for this project to be used to reduce the within appropriation. And further, the mayor is authorized to take any action necessary to carry out the intent and purpose of this project. 2/3 vote required.
Second?
This had a unanimously positive report from both committees as well.
And I'll open this up. Councilor Golub?
Thank you. I just said I would love to hear just a little bit more of the rationale or just about this project. I'm not sure if from you all from Ways and Means.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, so this is, only because I think I've heard it twice, Marla, that this is for to get us to 75% complete design. Did I get that? Yeah. Yeah. And so in order to get that, once we complete this, I believe we get $13 million towards the project. Project 10 to 13. There you go. So yeah, so this is why getting this moving the rest of the way on the engineering and design work will allow us to get a great sum of money to actually do the work that's being engineered.
Any more comments? Councilor Garrett?
Another element of this project is it's also a complete streets project, and so this would, this is involving the bike lanes, potentially being added on Main Street, changing the angle of the parking, and just pedestrian safety, basically, and all user safety.
Councilor Minhas?
not to open up a whole can of worms here, but is there some sort of public forum or public discussion process so that the public can be involved in the whole Main Street revitalization redesign project? Is there such a thing that's already in place, or are we coming up with that? Director Marlowe.
Councilor Wondolowski, did you have a response to that, or?
Yes, there's been a public process. There have been several public meetings. I know I saw many of you at that meeting. And so it'll go back to the public again, but we don't have the design yet from.
And Director Warner can probably speak to this process too. I know it's got quite a ways to go in terms of more input, correct?
Yes, and Councilor Wondolowski was spot on. I just want to give details and some dates. So the project is, we were already funded by the City Council up to 25% design. We had 2 public meetings here with our consultant firm, Fuss & O'Neill. There was a lot of public input, so adjustments were made to the original conceptual designs of the Main Street project, which runs from High Street to Coleraine Street, is the project limits. So right now we're going through a RSA, road safety audit, which is pretty involved. We have to complete that. Fuss & O'Neill and the DPW is almost complete with 25% design, which has to be submitted to Mass DOT for their comments. Once it goes to them for their comments, it'll take a while for them to come back. They'll have 3 or 4 conceptual designs from us and Fuss & O'Neill. They'll come back with their comments and their recommendations. And at that point, we decide, comment back and forth a little bit, we'll decide what the final design is going to be or proposed to be. And at that point, Mass DOT will hold a public hearing, probably in this room, and that's the opportunity for the public to come for the 3rd time to make any adjustments on that design and comment on it. But that probably won't be until probably fall, late summer, early fall. And this appropriation is just to keep us going on the design process. If we put it off, then it puts off the project year after year after year, and as we know, the costs just increase. By listening to the public, the project started out at a $5 million project 2 years ago. Listening to the public, making adjustments, making standard changes to intersections and whatnot, it right now sits at 10.2 million projected, and it's projected to be 13 million by FY 27 to 29, but that's estimated at this point.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions on this? Yeah, Councilor
No,
Mims.
I'd just like to, I don't know if this is the forum for it, but I would just like to acknowledge that the issue of parking is a very contentious issue in the public, so I don't know. I guess I better be showing up to those meetings then. I just hear a lot of crap being on Main Street all the time about, oh my God, parallel versus, so, okay, yes, thank you. This was very helpful, thank you.
I'll recognize the mayor.
I just wanted to say one thing. We had a meeting with all the business owners, and you're absolutely right. It is extremely contentious. It was a 2-hour meeting. I think like 3/4 of the time was on downtown. It wasn't this meeting about this project, but it was all on the parking, and we assured all the business owners that we're going to do that again soon. And the next one, we're going to make sure that Marlowe's there because he answers all of those things. But yes, we're all thinking about that and the communication. It is, to change parking is a big issue.
And I'd just like to say that the first 2 public meetings we had, and there were sticky notes on all the boards around this room, so folks could comment and everything, and probably there was 500 of them. I'd say 400 of them were about parking. So Fuss & O'Neill did a great job of putting out data, tons and tons of data of where bike lanes are the safest, what type of parking is the safest. So I would say that public hearing that Mass DOT comes out with is very important for folks to come to, because they can share all that information again. And I learned a lot from it myself. So
Thank you. Any more questions? Councilor Garrett?
Just really quickly, there was a parking study done, which is something that I mentioned before, and I'm sure I'll mention again. And if the results of that study can be shared with members of the public, or there's a business community forum, I think that might help answer some questions about the needs and kind of the current parking situation.
Yeah, let me double check it. Maybe on the website. I'm not sure it was at one point, but we'll make sure we get that out.
Any more questions? Looks like we're ready to vote. This is for the engineering work authorization. All those in favor? Against? Abstain? The motion passes.
Trying to keep you off the hot seat, man.
Would you like me to stay?
You might as well. You might as well.
I want to make sure I'm welcome.
You might as well.
Thank you.
Get your recliner next time. Order number FY 24078, the City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor, in order for the Highway Fund, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the Highway Fund, and to meet said appropriation, $200,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required.
Second.
Report from committee.
Unanimous positive.
Councilor Golub.
Question, am I recalling correctly that to transfer funds from capital stabilization requires a 2/3 vote? Is it? Or
I was reminded last night that it changed in January to simple majority in the law.
we
Yep.
changed that?
I forgot. The state changed that.
The state, because I was, okay.
I forgot too, because I spoke erroneously last night and said, no, I need 2/3. Same thing. I'd forgotten.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
And the mayor schooled me.
Any more discussion on the highway fund? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion passes.
All right. Order number FY 24079, the City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor, an order for repairs to the Mill Street Bridge, moves that it be ordered that the sum of $310,000 be appropriated for repairs to the Mill Street Bridge on River Street at the foot of Wisdom Way, and to meet said appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is hereby authorized to borrow said sum of $310,000 pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, or any other enabling statute, and the mayor is hereby authorized to apply for, contract for, accept, and expend any federal and/or state grants available for this project to be used to reduce the within appropriation. Further, the mayor is authorized to take any action necessary to carry out the intent and purpose of this project. 2/3 vote required.
And the report?
Unanimous positive. I could maybe preface this just a little bit by saying that this is also kind of in tandem with the next order as well. They're not going to necessarily happen at the same time, but they kind of are. They're very close. One is on top and one is underneath. So.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
All right. Going to what page? 9. What? Oh, Jesus. All right. Order number FY 24-080. The City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor, in order for repair design services, electric light and power dam, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $197,000 for repair design services for the electric light and power dam, number MA 01326, and to meet said appropriation, $197,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required.
Second.
Report?
This is also unanimously positive. And again, another foreshadowing. This is a portion of the full project. The other part is about to be told next, which will have a repurposing of funds. So This is just the part lacking from the repurpose.
Open this up for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24081, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to repurpose $55,956.63 for repair design services, electric light and power dam. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $55,956.63 for repair design services, electric light and power dam, and to meet said appropriation, $55,956.63 be repurposed from the accounts detailed below. 4019.4990.5844 free cash, Bascom Road Bridge Rails, $2,684.61. 4021.4990.5802 borrowed Sanderson Street Design, $35,020.02. 4021.4990.5852 borrowed Wisdom Way right of ways, $12,252. 4023.4990.5846 capital stabilization Mill Street Bridge Engineering, $6,000. Majority vote required.
Second.
And your report?
Positive, unanimous.
And open this up, any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24082, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for Legion Avenue parking lot resurfacing, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $65,000 for the resurfacing of Legion Avenue parking lot, and to meet said appropriation, $65,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 capital stabilization. Majority vote required.
Report?
Positively unanimous.
Open that up for discussion.
Yeah.
Counselor Healy?
So I know we did half this parking lot last year. Is this the remaining balance of that parking lot, or will there be more repairs in the future?
This finishes off what is the city property. This
Perfect.
is the city section. The other section was leased for many, many years by the city. That was all taken care of. We no longer park there. This is the actual city side kiosk.
So
Parking.
100% done after
Yes,
this
correct.
project. Perfect, thank
Yep.
you.
Any other questions? Counselor Minhas?
I know this is city property, but certain businesses are really benefiting from this, and in particular, Patriot Care. And so, if I'm not mistaken, so I know we've had issues in the past of them not being assessed properly, and they are not a struggling mom and pop. They are a lucrative business. So I don't know what the process would be, or if that's even possible or legal, but I think in good faith, if it's possible, they should at least, I mean, because no one's stopping any of their customers from using any portion that belongs to the city to go and purchase merchandise there. So I think in good faith, they should, if not in paying appropriate taxes, they should at least somehow pitch in, or in some way. It just feels weird that kind of feels like a weird subsidy for a business for a business that is already not paying its fair share. So I don't know, maybe that's just me complaining, but I know it's city property, but still.
Could I clarify just a
Sure,
little
sure.
information on that? So Patriot Care, the former American Legion, I believe the property line falls within the first two parking stalls in front of their establishment or thereabouts. I got to look it up where the survey is. But all other parking is paid parking. They should be paying to even go into Patriot Care, if that helps orientate what they're getting and what is ours, what they're supposed to be paying for. So in other words, we won't be paving up to the front of their building. We're only
Right.
paving up to the city survey pins.
Any more discussion on this? Yeah, Counselor Healy.
That kind of brings up a good point. So I wonder when we look at that, because the turnaround time on somebody going into the business there and then leaving in their cars less than 15 minutes, right? So for the parking authority to be able to enforce parking tickets and making sure you're using the kiosk, does it make sense, you know, down the road to maybe look at a swing gate where you actually have to get a ticket to get in and you pay when you leave? Just so maybe revenue comes in a little better there. Just an idea.
Any other comments? Seeing none, are we ready to vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
All right, order number FY 24-083, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to purchase 2024 F-550 to replace truck number 28. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $135,000 for the purchase of a 2024 F-550 or equal equivalent to replace truck number 28, and to meet said appropriation, $135,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required.
Report from committee.
That was unanimously positive.
I'll open this up for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-084, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for repaving the DPW yard. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $150,000 for rehabilitation of the paved lot at the Department of Public Works yard at 209 Wells Street, and to meet said appropriation, $150,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required. This was unanimously positive as well. I'd just like to point out, as some might remember, the roadside mower last year was broken into 3 parts, and it was, I don't know, a thing to chuckle about, so I started laughing reading this again. There are going to be 2 other parts to this later. Spoiler alert, sorry. It's a $450,000 total appropriation that is broken into 3 different parts. This one, sewer retained earnings and water retained earnings. So this is just the one part that is coming out of capital stabilization.
I'll open this up for discussion. Yes, Councilor Golub.
I just want to remark at, to see them to one after another, just how much money it costs to do this type of project. And hearing from, I just want to honor constituents who say we really need to work on our roads. And I mean, Kai, my son and I are driving down in Conway often, and he's like, why don't we just repave it? I'm like, I'm certain that the DPW is doing their best. I don't know the details, but I am certain that they are doing their best. And I just, like $500,000 basically to do this project. It's a lot. And that's not necessarily a complaint. It's just, wow, just
Yeah, well, to
appreciate
put it into perspective, 2 years ago when I entered this in the Capitol, it was a $330,000 project. That's increase of blacktop labor, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Councilor Wondolowski.
And to be Debbie Downer, with warmer winters, you're going to just get more freeze and thaw that cracks up pavement.
Yeah. You don't have to have a snowy winter, but freeze-thaw cycles are the worst thing for our road system.
Studded tires. Sorry.
Councilor Garrett.
Part of the discussion that we had last night too was the fact that this yard hasn't been repaved in a while is increasing the cost, because you have to go down, and Director Warner, I'm sure you can give the specific language, but down to like the gravel basically, instead of just retopping it. So because we deferred maintenance, this is more expensive than it would have been otherwise. So.
Yeah, if we'd repaved it 10 years ago, we could have milled the top 1.5 inches and put another course on top. But unfortunately, the Legion lot looks primo compared to our yard. It's got to be, it's got to be full depth reclaimed. They pulverize everything down 18 inches, repack the mat, and then we're going to relay a 4-inch blacktop mat.
Councilor Toronto.
I'd just like to add, this is good information as far as when these terms come up for other projects, in the idea of when we were talking about, as mentioned, like Legion Ave's lot, when it's stated like these, sometimes, we don't maybe want to think we have to do something, but how much it will cost even just in another 2 or 3 years can be double, triple the cost, just by the nature of the work that changes, not even just price escalations of material, but the actual, that's a totally more involved job. That it's a good, consideration with, this is going to be a recurring thing throughout, whether it's a street or a municipal lot or otherwise. So I think those are good terms to remember, is milling versus full depth reclamation. That one's going to give you a good, warning sign on dollar numbers. But
Any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24085, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for capped landfill repairs, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $240,000 for the repair of erosion in multiple areas of the capped landfill as directed by the Department of Environmental Protection, and to meet said appropriation, $240,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required.
Second.
It's positive, unanimous report from committee.
Open it up for discussion. Any? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24086, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for sandblasting at Poet Seat Tower. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $50,000 for sandblasting at Poet Seat Tower, and to meet said appropriation, $50,000 be transferred from free cash. Majority vote required. This had a 4-to-1 report, 4 positive, 1 negative report from committee, and a positive recommendation from Capital Improvement Committee. This is also a rec department request, just to point out. As we've been doing so many DPW one after another, this is a rec department request.
I'll open this up for discussion. Councilor Minhas?
Yeah, just a question. How often does something like this happen, like sandblasting at the tower?
Is Christie online, or if not, I can answer the question.
That'd be great.
So I think it was in 2016, we did repointing and sandblasting of the tower. It was a $50,000 appropriation. I wasn't here, but I look back. But we frequently, the DPW frequently paints and removes what graffiti we can. It's kind of an ongoing problem.
So this is primarily because of people defacing the property with graffiti?
Yeah, the flat floors we're able to repaint or clean it off, but the tower itself is real porous, so the paint goes into the pores. So the only way we're going to get that cleaned off is via sandblasting, all 4 floors, I believe.
Is there, is there some sort of like camera up there? I've never noticed.
So we're working on a plan. We've been in discussion with the IT director, the mayor, so on and so forth, to figure out how we're going to accomplish better security up there. But I do know that the police department has been pretty proactive lately, making numerous trips up there at night and so on and so forth as part of that. So we are working on a plan to that effect.
I know this is kind of just like a tangential, but kind of to curtail that problem and to not have like random 50,000 expenditures come up as often would be, I saw that they did this at my university where they had like plywood set up like kind of like a stand, and so it's like, oh, you want to be edgy, go ahead. You can like spray paint on there or whatever. And so potentially that could be something that's at the skate park or even be placed up there And if you can get it out of your system doing that, potentially, maybe, I don't know, that's just something.
A different canvas, so to speak.
Yes, yes.
Counselor Gordon?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's any eventual structural implication of repeated sandblasting.
No, it's a lower pressure just to get the paint off. It won't take any of the grouted joints apart or anything like that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Perry?
I was the one for full disclosure. It was kind of my protest vote for the same reasons we've been talking about. And I was hoping maybe the public would become more aware of this and maybe some more public buy-in to the problem that we face. You know, $50,000 is a lot of money, you know, for something that could be prevented so easily. And next time we could use the $50,000 to buy the cameras and other things that would stop this from happening. But I like your idea too. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I wish I had thought of it last night, not that it would have mattered, but Cindy, I know, had requests for CPA funds for Hillside Park. CPA, I mean, this is a historic structure, right? Landmark, I mean, it would fall right into that category. Getting the funds, having the CPA fund that, as opposed to taking it out of free cash, right?
I think so, yes.
So, but I think the deed is done, right? I mean, I also think that we should impose substantial fines. We talked about that briefly last night. I mean, not $200 fines, but like $1,000 fines. I mean, this is defacing, I mean, it's cost the city a lot of money over time. And there's got to be a way to deter that. And I think if you whack somebody once or twice, with, hit them in the pocketbook, it may stop. But that's something to be discussed down the road. But again, we sandblast it without having a plan to deter any more of this kind of, you know. I'm gonna vote for it because it's got to get done, but we got to come up with a plan so we're not dropping 50 grand every so often. And the graffiti's getting worse before, you know, I mean, like overnight it grew. So, anyway, yeah, thank you.
Counselor Wondolowski?
Just briefly, I know with the fines, we also talked about signage as a deterrent. So, because if you don't know there's a fine, then at least whether or not that deters you, I don't know, but do our best.
Counselor Toronzo?
I was going to say, I don't think CPA has made their determinations yet. So if anybody's listening, if they were to end up putting money towards this that we would then approve later, we could rescind this from free cash.
I'm pretty sure the Community
Did they finish
Preservation Act will be seeing those next month, I
Okay,
believe.
I wasn't sure if they'd finished
So
it
their
yet.
process for this year would be closed.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It's
Well,
an extensive review process.
For next time.
Yeah. Any more discussion on this? Yes.
Just wanting to echo, I will vote yes, but I very reluctantly, because I can imagine the other places this money could go, and I really like the idea of the alternative canvas and deterrence and things that are far less expensive and supportive to the community.
Anyone else on this topic? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? The motion passes.
I already had it. Order number FY 24-087, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, an order for Federal Street School elevators. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $75,000 for rehabilitation and repairs of North Tower elevator at Federal Street School, and to meet said appropriation, $75,000 be transferred from Fund 8402 Capital Stabilization. Majority vote required.
Second.
This is positively unanimous. It is the sole request from the schools for capital. Very happily that this was the one request and not the very, very large request we thought was coming.
I guess I'll open this up for discussion. Seeing all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? The motion passes.
211. There is a lot. Order number FY 24088. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, an order for sewer inflow and infiltration repairs and replacement. Moves that it be ordered that the sum of $500,000 be appropriated for sewer inflow and infiltration repairs and replacement identified in the Wright Pierce Sewer System Evaluation Survey. And to meet said appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is hereby authorized to borrow said sum of $500,000 pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 8, or any other enabling statute, and the mayor is hereby authorized to apply for, contract for, accept, and expend any federal and/or state grants available for this project to be used to reduce the within appropriation, and further, the mayor is authorized to take any action necessary to carry out the intent and purpose of these projects. 2/3 vote required.
Second.
This was positively unanimous.
Yes, open this up for discussion. Councilor Healy?
So I know this has been a hot topic the past couple of years where you're getting money allocated for this I&I issue. Believe it was around like $5 million in total, the project itself. We've allocated funds previously, and it looks like you're asking this year for the 500, next year for, was it $1 million next 2 fiscal years? Is that all the money left to satisfy the phase 1, 2, and 3 I&I issues to hit that 5.2, just to be clear?
So right now, we're kind of hitting the reset button, and we're going to do some more flow testing. As you know, we've been receiving some pretty high flows, even though we know we're improving a lot of pipes, a lot of the system. We suspect, as now it's been 5 years since the consent order came down, the pipes are 5 years older. Majority of the pipes are reaching 90 to 100 years old, so the ones behind them that didn't prove to have a problem could be having problems, especially with the extremely high flows and the pressure on the system. So we're continuing on with the phase 1, 2, and 3, which was 5.485 million or something like that, but we know what increased costs are. I'm estimating that cost is probably at least 7 million now. We're about 1.8 million, 1.9 million for appropriations into the I&I repairs of the consent order, but we've also done a couple $100,000 in-house with our in-house DPW crew. So that report will also, the flow checks will develop another plan and see if we're still getting high flows in the sections we've repaired. Maybe there's sections it didn't show up on the initial flow test to have high flow now. Maybe we're incurring problems in other sections of the system. So we're kind of going at it from 2 angles right now. We're continuing what was found, and we're also double checking work or going behind ourselves a little bit, trying to figure out where these higher flows are coming from. Obviously, we're getting much higher rains in a short amount of time, so percentage-wise, you're going to have more in the system anyways because of the high amounts of rain. But we're thinking we're incurring some more issues that were not discovered or found initially. So we're trying to hit it from 2 angles here.
Yeah, so this is a financial obligation we're probably not going to, it's not going away anytime soon. Not in 2 years. It's probably going to be around for a while.
No, but we're also working on a couple of grant opportunities. I'm working with Athena through the mayor on a couple grant opportunities. We've got a couple small ones put out there. We're working on a larger one. So we're hoping that we could get a good chunk of money towards this through grant. There's
Thank you.
usually not much out there for I&I, but there may be some opportunities.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
And aye.
Abstention? The motion passes.
All right, order number FY 24-089, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to replace backhoe number 185. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $195,000 to replace backhoe number 185 and to meet said appropriation, $195,000 be transferred from FY 24 sewer retained earnings. Majority vote required. I said a positive, unanimous recommendation. We love when our retained earnings pay for things.
Open this up. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-090, City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for rehabilitation paving of the DPW yard. This is part 2. Moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $150,000 for rehabilitation of the paved lot at the Department of Public Works yard at 209 Wells Street, and to meet said appropriation, $150,000 be transferred from sewer retained earnings. Majority vote required.
We need a second on that?
Yeah, well, this is positive.
Yeah.
All 3 parts were positive recommendation.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-091, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for water main replacement, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $300,000 to replace water main on Main Street, and to meet said appropriation, $300,000 be transferred from FY 24 water retained earnings. Majority vote required.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstention? The motion passes.
Order number FY 24-092, City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to repurpose $124,552.78 for water main replacement, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $124,552.78 for water main replacement, and to meet said appropriation, $124,552.78 be repurposed from the accounts detailed below. 4917.4990.5840 borrowed, rehab of Rocky Mountain Tank, $38,577. 4918.4990.5840 retained earnings SCADA system, $80,566.69. 4919.4990.5840 borrowed for the Green River sand filters, $2,055.40. 4919.4990.5842 retained earnings from Millbrook Well reconditioning, $3,353.69. Majority vote required.
I need a second on that. Do we get a second? Oh. Report?
Absolutely unanimous.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? The motion carries.
Yes. Order number FY 24-093, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order for rehabilitation paving of the DPW yard, moves that it be ordered to appropriate the sum of $150,000 for rehabilitation of the paved lot at the Department of Public Works yard at 209 Wells Street, and to meet said appropriation, $150,000 be transferred from water retained earnings. Majority vote required.
Any discussion? Recommendation?
You know it. Unanimous positive.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? The motion carries. That is it for that section of our agenda. Thank you, Director Warner.
May I make a quick comment on the water main money?
Yes.
Just to give a heads up on a first reading later tonight, and then it's for $500,000 out of retained earnings. It's also going towards the Main Street water main replacement, the 4-inch. It's about 2,000 feet. But what goes along with that is we got a $250,000 earmark from the state, and we have to spend that in a certain amount of time. So I had to kind of scramble everything together and make sure I had enough in retained earnings. And again, this is a project that went from about $750,000 to over $1 million in no time for costs. And there's a lot of stuff to navigate around on Main Street, so it really increases the cost of the job. But I just wanted to give a heads up that $500,000 goes towards the appropriations tonight that you've approved. That was a long time
Thank you,
ago.
Director Warner, and thank you for all the detailed information as always, and the photos and excellent presentation.
Split stuff, but we stretch the money as far as we can. Thank you.
So we have no presentation of petitions or papers, report of committees. I just wanted to speak on behalf of Ways and Means to please watch the upcoming operating budget meetings. It's really important. They're going to be talking to all the department heads and going over the entire operating budget. It's really helpful to see those when it gets to voting on the operating budget next month. Any other reports from committee? Unfinished business? Any old business? Under new business, we have first readings. Councilor Toronzo. Page 232.
You guys love hearing my voice, I guess. All right, I'm going to do this one quicker. Transfer $145,155.32 from Water Enterprise Bond Premiums Fund 1627 to Water Principal Paydowns. Transfer $214,000 from Bond Premiums Fund 1627 to Sewer Principal Paydowns. Transfer $14,148.05 from free cash to close out deficits in various uncollectible grant funds. Transfer $500,000 from FY24 water retained earnings to replace water mains 2025 capital budget additional request. FY 2025 operating budget appropriates $64,866,698 to the general fund for the FY 2025 budget. Transfer $125,000 from bond anticipated notes premiums fund 1628 to FY 2025 general fund short-term interest. Appropriate $2,538,458 for the FY 2025 water enterprise fund. Transfer $7,500 from water enterprise bond anticipated notes premiums fund 1628 to FY 2025 water short-term interest. Appropriate $3,586,722 for the FY 2025 sewer enterprise fund. Transfer $25,000 from sewer enterprise bond anticipated notes premiums fund 1628 to FY 2025 sewer short-term interest. Appropriate $2,326,674 for the FY 2025 GSET enterprise fund. Authorize revolving funds to establish budgets for FY 2025.
Excellent, thank you. Motions for consideration. I guess I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Before we do that, I'd just like to say something real quick. Last Friday night, I did a ride-along with Officer Brent Griffin. I was invited by the chief, and I'll tell you, it's give you a whole new perspective as to what those guys do out there. And I would recommend everybody on this council take the chief up on his offer. There's an open invitation for everybody. It's on? Okay. Anyway, yeah, and I want to thank the chief for inviting me to do that. So there you have it.
Great, thank you for that. So a motion to adjourn. Did we have a motion? In a second? All those in favor? It passes. Thanks, everyone.